I'm Amy Goodman. The man who calls himself America's toughest sheriff could be facing a federal investigation for possible civil rights abuses and a trial on charges of racially profiling Latinos. The chairpersons of 4 House committees called on Attorney General Eric Holder and Homeland Security Secretary Janet Napolitano last Friday to investigate allegations of misconduct against Sheriff Joe Arpaio of Maricopa County in Arizona. Earlier this month, in a move the New York Times called a degrading spectacle, Sheriff Arpaio forced 200 shackled prisoners to march through the streets of Phoenix, from a local jail to his infamous tent city that's surrounded by an electric fence. Many accuse the sheriff of pulling a publicity stunt to promote his new reality television show on Fox, Smile, You're Under Arrest. At a news conference after the march, this is how Arpaio responded to questions about why he was humiliating prisoners.
If you remember, if you've been around, about 2 years ago, we marched about 1,000 people in just their pink underwear from one jail to the other. So why should I keep this secret? Because it will never be kept secret. If I open this tent city, in about 2 minutes, the whole world will know about it anyway. So I have nothing to hide. I have an open door policy. I'm facing you right now. I'm telling you our policy. I have nothing to hide. I don't sneak people in. The media constantly comes through these tents from all over the world. We've had presidential candidates, 4 of them, running for president that visited the tents.
That clip courtesy of A.J. Alexander. In their strongly worded letter, Congress members John Conyers, Zoe Lofgren, Gerald Nadler, and Bobby Scott accused the sheriff of, quote, blatant disregard for the rights of Hispanic residents. They say Latinos in Phoenix, citizens and non-citizens alike, quote, feel under siege because of the sheriff's raids. In an interview with the East Valley Tribune newspaper last April, Sheriff Arpaio defended himself against mounting criticism of his actions.
We do know there's many illegals in this county that have already been designated criminals. Just by coming here, they are criminals. Everybody forgets that. Illegal means that you've done something wrong. You're illegal. But that goes by the wayside. See, nobody talks about that. They call me Nazi, and they have a KKK. They have my picture next to Hitler, all these demonstrators. That's all right. I can take it. But, you know, that is a little racist, too, against me. But they want to do it, let them do it.
Maricopa County Sheriff Joe Arpaio. The sheriff's tactics of public humiliation have come under greater fire since Maricopa County entered into what is known as Section 287G agreement with the Department of Homeland Security. The agreement allows local law enforcement agencies to perform immigration enforcement functions. Last year, Phoenix Mayor Phil Gordon criticized Sheriff Arpaio for focusing on immigration enforcement at the expense of 40,000 outstanding felony arrest warrants. The letter from Congressman Conyers and others urges Homeland Security Secretary Napolitano to review and possibly terminate Maricopa County's 287G agreements. I'm joined right now by 2 guests in Phoenix, Arizona. Ryan Gabrielson is a reporter with the East Valley Tribune. He's just won the 2008 George Polk Award for Justice Reporting, along with Paul Giblin, for their 5-part series on Sheriff Arpaio called Reasonable Doubt. Salvador Reza is with us as well, a member of the Puente movement in Phoenix that grew out of the spate of arrests and deportations under Sheriff Arpaio in 2007. He's part of a large group of organizations calling for the national demonstration in Phoenix next Saturday against 287G agreements. We welcome you both to Democracy Now! President Obama is there as well today. He's going to be signing legislation there, and he will be accompanied by the Homeland Security Director, Janet Napolitano, who is the former governor of Arizona, who has worked very closely with the sheriff. Ryan Gabrielson, first of all, congratulations on your George Polk Award for this series. Can you talk about the latest controversy that involves the sheriff?
Well, the latest controversy is simply sort of stemming from the 2 years worth of controversy since the sheriff's office began doing its real crackdown on illegal immigration. And the new investigations that are being called for seem to be sort of a fresh approach to what the FBI apparently, there's a lot of evidence, was doing last year in response to the Phoenix mayor's request for a federal investigation. Lots of people that we've talked to have said that federal agents, FBI agents, have been doing interviews for quite some time, potentially building a case concerning civil rights infractions. This simply would be a new approach from different agencies, from the Immigration and Customs Enforcement and from the Attorney General's office itself.
I'm wondering if you can talk about the latest news, Salvador Reza, the latest controversy, and how your organizations came together.
Yes, in 2007, Sheriff Arpaio set 4 ICE trained sheriffs to basically patrol an area under control of Roger Sensing, which is a private individual. So this private individual was utilizing them to actually scour the neighborhoods. He would call in the license plates of people that were picked up for day labor. And basically the sheriffs would go and stop them and then start interrogating everybody. He deported over 100 people like that. So out of that, we started a series of demonstrations against Pruitt's. But now, since then, he has done a series of sweeps every so often, like every 2 months or so, where he goes into the Latino neighborhoods and basically intimidates, terrorizes, and basically destroys business in the area while he's there. Well, the latest media stunt by Sheriff Arpaio was parading 240 or so prisoners from one facility to the other, which is now the 10th city. It's not that far, but he called all the media to make a spectacle of the situation and basically segregating by alienation, by national origin, and by color, a whole set of inmates, which is actually a violation of the Constitution. But on top of that, he said he was to facilitate visit by the lawyers and by the Mexican consulate or consulate of their country. But what happened in essence, he actually took away days. Now they only can visit them 3 days. So he's constantly lying and basically putting himself on a public eye and basically dividing the whole community into pro and anti-Arpaio forces, and he's utilizing the 287G agreements so that he can basically go after gardeners, after corn vendors, after maids, and basically intimidating. Now he's interrogating the whole board of supervisors, county board of supervisors, and accusing them of violating employer sanctions. So he's out of control, and I think investigation is due. Not only investigation, they should freeze the 287G agreements with Sheriff Arpaio until this gets resolved. Janet Napolitano doesn't seem to want to do that so far. I hope she changes her mind.
And it's true, the 287G agreement.
Ryan Gabrielson. The reporter of the East Valley Tribune.
Distinctly changed the nature of the sheriff's operations. Throughout 2006, when they first began this, they were scouring the rural roadways where human smugglers would use to get in and out of Maricopa County. Once they got the federal pact, they all of a sudden had 160 federal agents of their deputies that were cross-designated with all the powers of immigration agents. They started launching large-scale crackdowns in Hispanic neighborhoods with zero evidence of actual criminal activity, sending out the SWAT team, the K-9 team, hundreds of members of their volunteer posse to just target day laborers. So that's something that's continued ever since they got the federal agreement.
And what about this issue of whether Janet Napolitano, the Arizona governor, can deal with Sheriff Arpaio in the way that the Congress members and community groups are demanding, given her history? I'm looking at a piece, in addition to your pieces, Ryan Gabrielson, by Tom Zellner, who formerly wrote for the Arizona Republic. And the piece is called Janet Napolitano's Embarrassing History with Sheriff Joe Arpaio. And among the things he says the public devours at Arpaio's consistently traditionally enjoyed some of the highest approval ratings of any elected official in Arizona. That inmates have a way of getting killed in Sheriff Joe's jails, costing Maricopa County millions of dollars in lawsuits, has not dimmed his star, nor has a federal judge's order that he provide constitutionally mandated minimum level of food and health care, an order that said Arpaio had inflicted needless suffering and deterioration on the mentally ill. He goes on to say more than a decade ago, Napolitano was in a position to help curb Arpaio's excesses. As a U.S. attorney in 1995, she was put in charge of the Justice Department investigation into atrocious conditions in Arpaio's tent city. Napolitano carried out her task with what can best be described as reluctance, going out of her way to protect Arpaio from flack almost before the probe had started. She told the Associated Press, "We're doing this with the complete cooperation of the sheriff." She said, "We run a strict jail, but a safe jail, and I haven't heard from anyone who thinks that this is a bad thing." He writes, anyone, maybe Napolitano needed to get out of her office a little more. The Justice Department's